Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. It's the weekend and I am going invisible. It's a serious medical condition, but it's too cold to take my green jumper off. So we're getting green screened. That's life. We're working with it. We're living with it. But remember that suspicious looking gap in my fusion plan video. I said, it looks like there's a lovely little slot in the middle of this fusion for an extra event. Well, guess what? Oh, it's tiny. Guess what? You can read it through my jumper. Yes, we are going to be having an event kicking off on Monday, and this is going to be going on for 96 hours. So let's go in on the 13th of April. That's Monday. Two events simultaneously. First, an Awakening boost event with 2x for 5 and 6 star souls from Mortal and Immortal Soulstones. It's a really solid event, that, and again, this one is up for 96 hours. It's a great time to pull your Soulstones. I will say with Mortals, they do occasionally run boosted 4, 5, and 6 star. But to be honest, boosted 5 and 6 stars is kind of good enough. It sort of gets the job done. You're still not super likely to get something from Mortals, but you might as well have that boosted chance just in case you do. For the Immortals, it's actually very nice. So they quite often do boosted 6 star from Immortal and leave it at that. This one is 5 and 6. So that's really, really good. I don't think they've ever... I get a bit confused sometimes because there's so many different variations on these Soulstone events. I don't think they've done a boosted 4, 5, and 6 star before. But I mean, a boosted 5 and 6 star, it's a very, very nice event for any Immortal Soulstones. If you've got some to spare, it's a great time to pull. Now, the only things you might be saving up some of these Immortal Soulstones for, apart from a 2x event like this, would be for events with significant guaranteed rewards. We're going to see an event with some guaranteed rewards, but it's one of the weaker, well, I wouldn't say it's even the weakest ones, but it's not quite as good as like a guaranteed champion or a guaranteed soul, which might be the thing that would really draw you in. But let's go into this part. So this is part 2, and it's very interesting. An adventure deck of fate for glyphs. Ooh, so like I said, you can get points for this from Soulstones. Summoning champions as well is an extra summon event, and getting artifacts and accessories. So there's your third Gear Hunter event that was mysteriously missing from the fusion. There it is. This Soulstone thing is tying in as well, and then summoning champions. I don't know, we've got no info as of yet whether or not there will be some sort of boosted summon event for summoning champions. There might well be, to be honest. They might do some sort of summon rush type thing for this, but we don't know. As of right now, we simply don't know. I'd be fairly inclined to skip this. You know, the summoning champions is not too appealing, and we'll see. This is probably an event that you don't need to fully complete either. I think do some Gear Hunter stuff for some points. If you've got some Soulstones, great to pull. That's good. I'd be inclined to say skip the summoning champions, build up your shards, right? That's the difference between a deck of fate for a guaranteed champion. You basically need to be prepared to flip the entire deck. Now, people often have a very negative take on decks of fate which give gear. And I presume people might have a bit of a negative take on decks of fate which give glyphs. I actually have the opposite opinion, where I actually generally quite enjoy the decks of fate for gear. You tend to get a decent amount of good gear from it. I think the glyphs are going to be quite good as well. They're going to be rank 6 glyphs. Uncommon, which is the typical old rank 6 glyphs, you know, that give you 3 to 8 speed. They're also going to have rare, epic, and legendaries in there for basically, I think, all the different types, essentially, which is kind of cool. Uncommon glyphs under green cards, rare glyphs under blue cards, and the common chests. Epic glyphs under purple cards, as well as the rare chests, and legendary glyphs are only in the epic chest. You will be able to pin cards, so that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be pinning the epic chests, and you're going to be hoping to get some legendary glyphs. They are very difficult to get. It's simply a very, very highly time-gated resource that's also locked behind basically completing Faction Wars hard to get these better glyphs. I think this is very solid. And here's the thing. Again, as I said, with a deck of fate where you're getting a champion from it, you have to basically flip the entire deck. With a deck of fate for gear, or relic fragments, or glyphs in this case, You don't have to do the whole thing, right? If you flip 5 cards and you get like a couple of nice glyphs out of it, great. Cool. You don't have to do everything. So you can do as much or as little as you want, as much or as little as makes sense for you. But I think that the glyphs are a pretty juicy reward. I think that the gear ones tend to be pretty good as well. People tend to look down on them a lot. The gear ones, they'll say, with the gear, they'll say, oh, well, the gear you get might not be any good. And you say, then you might ask the follow-up question, well, like, what are the chances I'm going to get gear that might be good, or what are the chances the gear might not be good? Like, how does it actually break down? And they'll say, I don't know. But it sucks. I'm sure it probably sucks, but I've got absolutely zero information or facts. And if that's you, I mean, wow, you're wasted on your current job. You should be a rocket scientist or something. Like, holy, yep, go for it. But I think the relic ones are pretty rubbish. They tend to give very low quality relic resources because, yeah, the relic resources, a lot of the value is really in the legendary and particularly the mythical relic resources. And they tend to be very stingy with those. This, you're getting some fairly impactful stuff just from the get-go. So, yeah, I definitely think it's worth, if you've got a few handy Soulstones lying around, if you've got some spare energy on those particular days that you don't need to stockpile for the fusion, I think it's not too bad going into this. The haste glyph is obviously the biggest one, but I also think the accuracy is pretty nice, even the resistance, right? Getting the big glyphs for those is very helpful for some of your builds. So if you get lucky and you happen to get like you get like a rare haste glyph, it's a pretty big win. It's a pretty big win. So why not? Why not give it a go? Is my take. For me, I will pull my Soulstones for this. I'll definitely pull a decent chunk. Again, I think the biggest opportunity cost is Soulstones that you might want to save for a guaranteed champion, which is, in terms of gameplay, certainly, and fun and engagement, you'd rather have like a cool, shiny new champion than some glyphs, probably. Maybe some people prefer the glyphs, but I think most people probably prefer, getting a new champion or getting a guaranteed big soul for a champion so you can get the most out of them, that sort of thing. So that's where we are at. This, to me, looks like a decent event. It's not a must-do event, but I think I would highly encourage you to consider it if you have any of these resources to spare. I think this looks really good. I think you can do as much or as little as you want. One warning I will give, the thing about pinning the cards, it is very, very easy when you're trying, let's say, hang on, like I'll give you an example here. Let's say, imagine I had 13 immortals and I'm like, okay, I'll pull my mortals, I'll pull 3 immortals and I'll stick with 10. So I've got a bit of a stockpile for future. And, I'll do a bit of dungeon, but I'll be fine if I do all that. And then I go, ooh, well, I've got 2 purple pins in there. I just need 1 more purple card. Sure, go on. I'll pull another immortal. And you pull it and you flip a card down. It's not there. And then you pull and you pull and you pull. And you end up pulling all 10. And suddenly all your immortals are gone before you finally get that purple card. I think that's the biggest danger. You get sucked into chasing the chest from the pins. And that can be bad if it causes you to basically deviate from whatever budget or plan you've put in for your resources to be prepared for stuff in the future. So that would be my main consideration. Watch out for that. Watch out for getting suckered in and using more resources than you otherwise would. But for me, I've got a nice stockpile here. I'll definitely pull some of them. Will I max out this deck? I don't know. I'm going to pull, I think, all my mortals. I'll definitely pull the 13 here. I'll probably pull down to 30. And then I'll see where I'm at, really. I might go further and max it out, maybe, for me. I think the glyphs would be very, very helpful I find them very helpful. So we'll see. But there we go. Let me know your thoughts on this. What do you think? I think it's a nice optional event with some good rewards. I think it might be the first time. Is it the first time they've done a glyph deck of fate as well? I don't know. I think it's a decent time to pull Soulstones as is, and I think this is a nice little cherry on top. So to me, it seems like a decent optional thing. That's it. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.